Jonathan Taylor did not get traded. It's a clear sign to me that the Indianapolis Colts said we want a 1 for Jonathan Taylor or a projected very high 2 and something else, and they never got it. So, first of all, the news, ESPN has reported that both Green Bay and Miami were trying hard to get Jonathan Taylor, could not do it. I find that a bit odd from Green Bay's perspective, not necessarily because he's not a great player, because Jonathan Taylor is a great player. But the Packers right now have one of the best 1-2 combinations at running back in football. And look, I thought all along that there was a good chance it was going to be Miami. I'm a little surprised that they didn't do it. But again, you're the Miami Dolphins. You're facing soon having to pay Tua. Do you want to get it? Do you want to do something that you didn't expect to do with your salary structure in devoting, say, $12 million a year to signing Jonathan Taylor? So I can understand why teams didn't do it, but now we head into this uneasy truce that there's going to be, and it may be a lot worse than uneasy, quite honestly, with Jonathan Taylor, who, the word on the street, Miles, is Jonathan Taylor is not injured, and that the Colts are going to basically pay him for the first 4 weeks of this season while he is away and he can get his head right, so that for the last 13 weeks they can get some good use out of Jonathan Taylor. But again, it's an unresolved situation, and if I'm the Colts, I really don't want to head into the season with the situation the way it is, but such is life.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor still being on the physically unable to perform list, or I guess being transferred to the reserve PUP list rather than, the active PUP list as it is in the preseason, is one of these things that just fascinates me. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff, I feel like, Peter, that has gone on with Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, where, you've got the team's owner kind of battling the player's agent on Twitter. And then you've got the team's owner coming out on the record and saying, hey, we've not offered a contract. And then Jonathan Taylor's at practice every day, but he's in a hoodie and he looks so discontented. I don't quite get what the end game could possibly be here for these two sides. And it's interesting because, if him being injured was not the holdup, which apparently it was not in the trade, like, are you really sure still, if you're Miami or if you're Green Bay or maybe you were another mystery team that was interested, if the guy's not practicing and he's still coming off an ankle injury, and then he lands on the PUP, like, all these things, Peter, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to square all of them together to add up to whatever this is. I don't really get it. I mean, I do on the one hand, but on the other, it's like they're all these separate little elements that they don't seem to fit together to form a cohesive puzzle at all. So that's kind of where my brain lands when I'm thinking about Jonathan Taylor, the Colts, the Dolphins, the Packers, and whoever else. I can't quite square it, and I don't know where it's going next, other than, I guess, the next checkpoint is what happens week 5 when Jonathan Taylor's eligible to return. Does he actually come back? And then what happens at the trading deadline? Is there a team that makes the Colts an offer they can't refuse because they've seen what their running back situation looks like, over the first, let's call it half-ish of the season, and then they say, all right, well, we now know what we could do by bringing in Jonathan Taylor and how much better that could make us, a la what the 49ers did last year when they brought in Christian McCaffrey.
Here's the interesting thing, I think, Miles. I think everybody, after the deadline passed on Tuesday, the 4 p.m. deadline that the Colts had arbitrarily, quite honestly, set as the time that they wanted to have a resolution for Jonathan Taylor. Just hold on for a second and let's just think about something, okay? There's no reason why the Indianapolis Colts couldn't trade Jonathan Taylor at some point in the next 4 weeks. Honestly, in the next 7 weeks. all the way up until the trading deadline. There's absolutely no reason. If it continues to be a stalemate between player and team, I would expect them to pick up the phone and call one of these teams again. Maybe call both, maybe call more than two. So to me, Myles, I kind of look at this right now and I'm saying, all right, so let's see what happens if, let's say, Raheem Mostert or A.J. Dillon go down in the month of September. They're lost for any significant period of time. I mean, to me, this isn't over. Just because they say, yeah, we want to have a decision made, there's absolutely no reason that it has to be done. So I think if Jonathan Taylor continues to mope around, I still think he could get dealt.
Yeah, and I think that makes complete sense. There is no trading deadline that happens in August. Like, that's not really a thing,
right?
The season hasn't even started yet. So it was a completely arbitrary deadline that the Colts kind of set. But in some ways, it does make sense because it's like, you have to make a roster decision on Jonathan Taylor on that Tuesday, whether it is, you're going to have him active and be on the 53, or you're going to say, we're going to keep paying you and we're not putting you on the NFI, as they sort of threatened to do earlier in August or in July, when things sort of started coming to a head here. So I don't know where this goes, I guess, is what I keep thinking. I mean, if you're going to trade for Jonathan Taylor, then ostensibly you are saying that we value you enough to not just trade a premium pick for you, but also to have you come in and we're going to sign you to a deal that you think is good. So if you are Miami or if you're Green Bay, I mean, is that something that's really attractive to you? I guess to an extent it was, but not enough to give the Colts the kind of premium pick, so to speak, that they were looking for to move on from somebody who they value, but don't value enough from Taylor's perspective so that they can continue on in this relationship that they have with the long-term contract.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.